Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Welcome to the TMZ Podcast. Harvey Levin here.
Katie Hayes here.
Derek here.
So, this story is incredible. I mean, we broke this on the website this morning. I just cannot believe it. So, the director of Black Panther, Ryan Coogler,
Gigantic.
Huge star.
Directed the Creed movies as well. Directed Fruitvale Station. Gigantic.
Enormous. So, he was in Atlanta, and he's at a Bank of America. And he walks in wearing his shades, wearing a COVID face mask. Okay, and we've always talked about wearing a COVID face when you go into a bank and everything else, because back in the day, when you wore a mask, it was ominous.
You look like a robber.
But it's so common now, right? We've had 2 years of getting used
It's
to people
totally
in face
common.
masks. Right.
Yeah, I mean, now wearing a mask is kind of standard fare.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't matter about restrictions. People are still wearing them.
The
So
shades in a bank, though, always a little risky. But anyway.
Welcome to Atlanta, Hollywood, and New York.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Celebrities wear shades.
Yes.
Okay, so he walks in there and he says he wants to withdraw some money. So he hands the teller a withdrawal slip and with a note because he wants to get $12,000. So he says he wants to withdraw the money. Please count it somewhere else. He wants to be discreet. You can understand that for two reasons. One, he's a celebrity and everybody's going to see it and they're going to, maybe make a big deal of it, put it on their social media, and he doesn't necessarily want that. And the second thing is security, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't want to leave the bank with a giant
With a
pile
wad of cash in your hand.
No way.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's going to leave the bank with a wad of cash.
But not with everyone
on
in the
his
bank
person,
seeing it.
yeah.
Well, not
Right.
with everybody seeing it. And also, if somebody did take a picture of him with all that money, it's like a Kim Kardashian Target in
Right.
Paris. So you get it, right? And she's concerned that, oh my God, this guy is withdrawing this huge amount of money, wearing a mask, telling me to go to the side, and she gets nervous. And so she goes to her manager. Okay, pick it up.
She goes to her manager. So when he withdraws $12,000, there's an alert that pops up on the computer for some reason. Maybe the size of his withdrawal or whatever. She goes to her manager and says, I think we're being robbed. And, the manager, following protocol, looks at the guy who's wearing shades and a face mask and sees the note, which is hand-scrawled. And sometimes that's the way you would rob. You hand a note over to the teller. They call 911. Cops come. And they bring out Ryan Coogler in cuffs outside of the bank, clear up finally. Everything clears up that he is Ryan Coogler. He has $12,000 in his account. Everything is fine. They uncuff him. But this is a wild scenario. He's in the middle of Atlanta. A huge celebrity comes out of the bank in cuffs. Now, Coogler, we reached out to him and said, this situation should have never happened because at the end of it, he says, I want everyone's badge number. He doesn't want to be mistreated by the police.
Well, you would think, right?
Absolutely. He thinks this is, he's the director of Fruitvale Station, which is about sort of police brutality and stuff. So he's big into these issues. He gets everyone's badge number, but now he says, the situation should have never happened, but Bank of America has worked with me and addressed it to my satisfaction, and we've moved on, which I think is a very mature way of handling the situation. It could have gone another way, where he starts suing the city and what for, right?
Yeah, no.
And now he banks at Chase, probably.
Yeah, exactly. He's suing which banks.
So we got...
This is a crazy story. We haven't seen one like this
This is insane
ever.
to me, though, because if he hands her the slip, he obviously has his banking info on the slip, and he just wrote this note on the back. So she should have just been like, okay, this is his checking account info, and he wants it done discreetly.
But
It's shocking to me that she told her manager we're being robbed.
But in the 60s
Shocking.
and 70s, wasn't this a thing to go into banks, write a note to the teller? You don't come in with guns blazing like in a movie. You come in with a note and you slide it across and
okay,
say,
I
put $50,000 in this
I'm
unmarked
going to
bag.
stop because I've just got to say this. I know this is off track. The only thing that I am thinking about when I hear this story is take the money and run. When Woody Allen goes into the bank to rob it, and the teller looks at the note and it says, I have a gub? And Woody Allen is, no, it says gun. And she says, no, it says gub. And then she calls the manager over and says, what does this say? Does this say gub or gun? And the manager says, no, it says gub. And she says, no. And she calls it, and then all of a sudden there's this crowd of people around this note.
And this embarrassed robbers.
I'm just going to say, and I'm sorry for the detour. I literally, for years, had a what do you call them? A cassette, a VCR.
Yeah, you had a VHS tape.
A VHS tape.
Yeah.
Thank you. I forgot what they were. I had a VHS tape, and I had that scene queued up. And whenever I came home and I was in a bad mood after work, I would pop it in and watch it. I'd literally.
This is a window into Harvey's
It
mind.
really
There are
is.
certain
I
things that
feel
he
like I'm
loves
getting
and
such a
adores.
flashback
I
of Aunt
Airplane
Harvey.
and the one scene from
my
Take the
God.
Money and
Queued
Run.
up.
It's one of the funniest. Anyway, so
I'm
we
glad
put-
it had a happy ending.
And
but-
by the way, we have pictures on the website of Ryan Coogler in the bank at the tellers. I mean, it looks almost like a movie.
It's crazy.
It's
Let me ask
insane.
you one
This is
question,
most
though. Ryan
insane.
Coogler, big deal, big director. He's visually not a guy you necessarily would recognize because he's behind the camera.
Well, he's
so-
got a mask on.
and he's got a mask on.
Yeah,
So
and
he's,
there
and
is
shades.
he's not in the movie, right?
Right.
So a lot of people wouldn't recognize directors, regardless of how big they are.
So to defend the lady a little bit, like maybe it looked like a scene.
It's because he wrote, "I'd like to be discreet." I think when
Yes.
she saw that, she panicked and was like, "We're being robbed." Button
The
time.
button's not on top, just so you know. That would be very off-putting to the customer.
I think it's a giant.
If you start mashing the button, you might get killed by the robber.
It's a giant, large red button that says "panic."
Says
and you
Robert.
slam it.
Okay, you know what? I haven't watched that movie in so long. I'm in such a good mood. I love that.
Yeah.
Cue up
scene.
the VCR for tonight, Lemon.
You-
Cue it up.
Have you seen this?
I don't
No,
know
I mean,
if
have
I've
you-
seen that one.
Guys,
I've seen Take the Money and Run,
Guys,
yes.
do you remember this scene?
Of course. It's
It
a great.
is
I watched a lot of Woody Allen as a kid.
Hysterical. Okay, we're going to move on to Kelly Clarkson. We broke this on the website yesterday. She is now done with her ex-husband.
Congratulations, Kelly.
She
This was a bitter divorce.
Oh.
This was
Bad.
one of the worst.
Bad.
and you know, and it's so interesting too because I remember was it the 20th anniversary of American Idol when she came back
Yes.
and she sang what's the name of the song?
About her father.
About her father.
It's-
And
Because of you? Is that it?
no, it's a slow
it's
song
like
that
it's
she
like
was
you'll
singing.
it's like you'll never leave me. type
Yes,
song.
it was about her father, but about how much of a support he was.
how much
Brandon
of a support
Blackstock.
Brandon Blackstock was. Well, he's now in the same bucket as her father.
Yes.
And so she is done. They have settled this divorce case. So here's the way it shakes down. She is going to get, this is actually really interesting. Remember, there was a big dispute over who owns the ranch. I mean, they've had 2 trials in this case over the prenup and other stuff.
He
Beautiful
loves
Montana
that Montana ranch. He does not want to leave it. He lives there. He's been trying to keep it this entire time. But in the prenup, it clearly states that she owns the ranch.
And the prenup is valid, so she gets the ranch. But according to the settlement, he gets to live there until June 1st. He has to pay her rent, $12,500 a month.
which is
and-
hilarious.
Hilarious. And then by June 1st, he has to move out. So that's that for that.
Good news, he's got rent money though each month, huh?
He's got rent money. And then beyond that, so she gets primary custody of the kids. He's going to get the kids 1 weekend a month.
which is insane to me.
Well, what's really crazy is this. So he gets child support. He's getting $45,000 a month for child support. And everybody wonders, how do you get $45,000 a month when you have the kids 2 days a month?
Those kids have grown accustomed to quite a life.
Well,
it's got to be continued when they go on the weekend with dad.
It's the overhead that has to be maintained and everything else. She, I'm told, is more than happy to pay this money just to be done with this. So there you go.
and also the spousal. The spousal is $115,000 a month. So this guy is getting $160,000 a month in this breakup.
Yeah, for the next
12.5 has
2
to go to her in rent. Which,
Right. But for the next 2 years, he gets that $115,000 a month, which the fact he's only seeing his kid twice, 2 nights out of the entire month is so wild to me. And that he gets to spend $20,000 a night.
Apparently, if he leaves
When he has his
Montana,
kids.
which he might have to leave after he gets out of the Montana ranch, they'll reevaluate that, right? Like if he leaves and
Yeah.
moves closer, maybe he gets more custody.
It specifically says that in the agreement that they go back in and they figure this out. And look, I mean, this has been a really, really, really bitter-
One of the bitters, because he was her manager, right? So when a manager
Right.
breaks up with his wife/client, it can get very, very nasty because money has always been involved in their relationship, right?
money has always been involved. And again, she makes about $20 million a year. So, you know, she can afford it and she is more than happy to pay it. And like you said, it's over in 2024. He doesn't get any more spousal support.
And she's probably happy just to be done with him at this point. She's just
So
throw
happy.
some money at the problem
She
and go
is
away.
so happy.
We
Yeah.
have had the nastiest divorces the last 2 years with Dre and this one. They've been crazy.
They're
Crazy.
crazy. Okay, so I have been thinking about something, and I just want to kind of briefly talk about it. That, you know, there's an evolution of greatness in the Ukraine that I've been thinking about with 2 people. Obviously Zelensky, but the other person is Vitali Klitschko, and he is the mayor of Kyiv. And remember, Klitschko was a champion boxer in the world, along with his brother Vladimir Klitschko.
Big time boxers, heavyweight champions.
So
and married to Hayden Panettiere.
Vladimir was.
no, they weren't.
Vladimir.
I don't think they were married.
Vladimir.
They had a kid
baby,
together.
baby
They
daddy.
had a kid
Baby
together.
daddy. Yeah.
So I have been thinking about this, and it's just like the evolution of greatness that you look at, and we're going to do this on the website today, but you look at, like Klitschko, for example, and I remember him in the ring. I remember him, outside the ring talking about, winning and all, and his brother, and they're both boxers. And then I believe that I know one of them, and I think maybe both of them were like the models for Hugo Boss for a time. And I'm just thinking, wow. And then all of a sudden he runs for mayor of Kiev. And that's fine. I mean, we know other people have done. There's a guy named Krokop in Croatia who did kind of the same thing and ran, I think, for parliament.
Manny Pacquiao is in the
Manny
legislature
Pacquiao.
of the Philippines.
yeah.
So it happens,
Yes.
and people do it and everything else, and that's fine. But this guy who's a boxer becomes a mayor, which is fine, and now becomes this lightning rod for resistance in Ukraine, and it's remarkable that he has assumed this position. I saw him today,
Mhm.
and he's so strong and resolved and inspiring.
Absolutely. He looks like a warrior, right? He's square jawed. They're 6'7". These guys are giants. The Zelensky rising to the occasion is
amazing.
even more incredible.
It really
This was a
is.
guy who was a comedian, an actor. He was sort of
Like a sitcom.
a sitcom kind of guy. He's got a level of fame there as well. And the way he's risen to the occasion.
And Dancing with the Stars champion.
Yeah.
And when he decides to run for president of Ukraine 2019, and at a point you got to say this is a joke because he played that role in the sitcom,
Mhm.
where he was a teacher, then became president of Ukraine. So it's like, really, you're going to do this? So he wasn't dismissed. He won by 70% of the vote.
Yeah.
And okay, then he's president. And remember, this whole thing came up with Trump, where Trump was trying to pressure, or Trump's, at least what the impeachment was about, whether Trump tried to pressure Zelensky into investigating Hunter Biden,
Which in retrospect, he handled pretty well.
which he did
Yeah.
handle pretty
You
well.
know, that was a tough conversation with the leader of the free world for the Ukrainian president who's, dependent on their support.
He kind of felt incidental to me
Yes.
in that. And, I remember hearing Zelensky's name and everything else, but he was kind of incidental because it was more about Trump. Well, now it's incredible to watch the evolution.
It's nuts. People either rise to the occasion or they wilt in front of the pressure. And both of these guys have risen to the occasion. I'm trying to think of even a parallel for it. It's hard to find.
Like,
We've never
well,
seen
Lech
a
Walesa.
celebrity like
Lech
this.
Walesa is a great one. Lech Walesa really rose to the occasion, right? And he was also sort of like not a frivolous person, but not as important as when the moment called for him to be important in the solidarity movement in Poland. He really rose to the occasion. People would say Reagan also falls into that category. Was sitting next to Bonzo and then telling Gorbachev to tear down a wall. Maybe your political allegiances are far from that, but it's not really a good analog, but
It's the
it's
closest
interesting when it
example of
happens.
what we have in the States, but it's nothing like what these two are doing. I mean, it's really remarkable.
It's remarkable. It is just.
Zelensky's going to be
And
Time Man of the Year. I mean, it's remarkable. He's on pace to be Time.
They should just pick Time Man of the Year in March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to be Person of the Year. I
Who-
apologize.
right.
Person of the Year.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yes, thank you, gentlemen.
I apologize. As I looked at you, I was
Please.
like, I should say person, shouldn't I?
I just am. I don't know. I just think it's.
And they used to be
It's
rivals,
so-
right? Like that's the interesting thing is they've united against a common foe. Like the mayor of Kyiv and the president of the country can sometimes have some friction because it's the biggest city and you've got the leader. There can sometimes be rivalry, but they know that they have a common enemy now, and they've both just sort of united and they look fierce. They're warriors in the middle of a war. It's incredible.
It's one of the most inspiring things in a really dark period in this world, and it's just, I was, I swim at this public pool in my gym, and I was talking to this woman next to me, and
We're aware.
yeah, and we were saying, it's like, when are things actually going to get better? It just seems like things get worse and worse and worse, and just to have something inspirational like this, and again,
Goes a long way.
but again, I don't want to slobber over this thing because this is a really serious issue. And I mean, people are dying over there. So, when we say inspirational, this is a tragedy. But just the idea that these people have risen to this occasion is something.
It's incredible against Russia's military. It's incredible they've lasted this long.
Aaron Rodgers, I think we were punked.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't think they ever broke up, him and Shailene Woodley.
Oh, you don't think this is a reconciliation? You think it never happened?
They don't respond to the media. They just don't respond. They never have. And I think in a way they may have taken some enjoyment because ultimately, if they want to get married, it doesn't matter what the media says, right?
That's right.
Right.
And they've never responded. I don't think they particularly like the media. And in fact, they don't. And so
they toyed with us just for fun.
They didn't toy with us.
No, he put that post up,
Yeah.
and everyone read into it that they broke up. People just read that
Right.
post that he put, where he said, "I love you so much," and they just assumed, "Oh, they broke up." But he was speaking in present tense. I think it was just a tribute of his love for her, and we took it as like, "Oh, they broke up." But I don't think they ever broke up.
Hold on, there were
I don't
reps.
either.
There were reps at the time who said the two gave it a shot. Do you remember that statement from the rep?
No, I don't. I don't remember anybody saying they broke up. They've never acknowledged it. Never.
Personally, yes. There were people out there, sources close, said they gave it a good run.
Sources close.
Yeah, no, listen,
Sources
you're right. We didn't hear
close.
directly
I think they
from
were
them.
sitting at home in bed together,
Laughing.
eating bonbons and laughing.
By the way, I
Couples
don't.
eat bonbons.
I don't
That's
think
my,
bonbons
That's my
are.
image.
I don't think they're
That's
a
my
thing.
image of them
You're-
eating bonbons in bed together,
Just like
laughing
Peggy
at all
Bundy.
Those were your tuba years.
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, look, he also just got a $200 million contract. I mean, she
Wait,
doesn't
wait,
need
we-
money.
we-
She's
we-
very
we-
famous.
Are
but
you implying
You don't wanna let
that
go.
he got that contract so she came running back? She is a huge movie star.
she's a movie star.
She's
yeah.
a
He's
huge
a
movie star.
huge football star.
Huge movie star.
Yes, huge. I loved the Divergent series.
So, look, the reason we're saying this is they were at a wedding together last weekend. They flew on a private jet to Palm Beach. They're together.
They're together.
And
Yeah.
I don't think they ever were apart. And
I agree.
I just feel like everybody got punked, and I kind of
Wow.
like it.
I love that they
Even
didn't
though you're on
respond
the
to
wrong
them.
end of it, you like it. You respect the game.
We just kept saying that we didn't know, but there are all these reports out there.
Yeah.
But I think it's great. Anyway, okay, let's end with Kanye on this poem.
Oh boy.
I feel
We have different views on this.
well.
We
We
do.
do.
Very
I mean,
different views.
I think the poem is really well. I think it's almost a brilliant poem. I really do.
And I
Wow.
think he went to rhymezone.com and just typed in dead and then just saw what rhymed with it and then filled it in.
And when
I-
it
for the
didn't,
rest
he
of it.
just like misspelled it so it would rhyme.
I
Yes.
think
Yes.
it's a really meaningful poem, and it's really sad and it's dark. I mean, I think this is a poem essentially saying my life is over. My wife has left me. The woman I love, my family is gone. The way he sees it, at least. And that, he used to dance with his kids at this house and he's not there anymore. It's a really sad divorce story, I think.
But it's not true. He bought a house across the street. He can see his kids anytime he wants. He just has to go to his house
I
and then
understand.
walk across the street. He
Not-
can see his kids. Kim has made it so he can see his children anytime he wants.
Absolutely
it's on him.
true.
It's on him now.
It's true, but you got to admit it's not the same. It's not the same.
It's not the same, but this is part and parcel with why it happened. This is a narcissist, everyone. This
Yes.
is it on display. We had one as a president. Now we have Kanye to sort of fill that void. This is a man who is so self-involved that the way he sees the situation that he has put himself in is, I'm the victim. I was killed by all of this. This is all about me.
I don't think he
His
said I'm the
family's in the
victim.
wreckage, but he's been dead the whole time.
Yeah.
Come on. It's amateurish, but we can disagree about whether it has an artfulness to it. But it is certainly a self-involved, egotistical narcissist.
Okay, really? And that's unique to show business?
Not unique to, certainly not unique to show
I
business.
mean,
But
really?
this is a guy who thinks everything he says and thinks is profound.
Well, right.
So he just puts it
Well,
out
we've
into the
known
world.
that about him for 10 years.
Yes, but tell me something about the world and not about yourself anymore. I know a lot about you, Kanye. I know you think you're a genius. I've heard it for the past 15 years.
We've
Again-
watched all these celebrities divorce, and some of them handle co-parenting really well, and I think that's what Kim's trying to do. And he just keeps coming out with these, poems and oh, woe, it's me. And I'm
Woe
just
is
like,
me. Yeah.
oh, woe, it's me.
But it's
and
not
I'm
aggressive.
over it.
This one's not aggressive.
No,
It-
it's
no.
not as aggressive.
I don't know, saying come throw bread on my grave so the birds can eat it off. That's aggressive.
Well, to who? The birds? I mean, who's that?
I don't know.
I mean, who's that aggressive
to neighboring, people in the
I don't
cemetery.
understand what you're
Bread to
saying.
throw around. We're in the middle of
Give me a break.
If I'm in
Yeah.
a cemetery, I don't want people throwing bread.
You know how much bread costs at the grocery store now, Harvey?
True.
Well,
And I hate birds.
it's no skin off your teeth if they throw bread.
It is. I hate birds.
Wow. Katie hates birds.
Hate.
That's the
We-
takeaway
when
today,
people
folks.
throw bread,
Harvey
I get
loves
really upset.
Harvey loves
Don't
take
do
the money
it.
and run, and Katie hates birds.
Okay, so go to the
Covered a lot of
website,
ground.
look at the Ryan Coogler video. Or the pictures we put. They're crazy. And then, I'm serious. Just
Buy a VHS tape.
buy a VHS
Oh,
tape,
yeah.
or
Find
just
a VCR somewhere.
Just look at this scene if you really want to laugh. It is hysterical. Hysterical.
Cue it up for tonight.
See you guys.
See you Wednesday.
Bye.
I see you Friday.